Hello guys, and welcome to this video where I will show you Hotlap around Circuit of the Americas, then the setup I use, and finally the race strategy. So let's jump right into the Hotlap. So get the DRS on for the straight, and then you're coming down to turn 1 and you want to brake as the black box goes out of view. Going down to 3rd gear, cutting the curb, and then just push that throttle. Then you want to go full throttle through turn 3 and 4, going over the curb in both turns, and then for turn 5 you want to lift the throttle so it's around 70%. Then coming into turn 6 you want to brake just before the orange part of the curb, going down to 5th gear, and then work up the throttle to around 90%, and then when you get close to the curb you can give full throttle going up to turn 7. Here you want to tap the brake at around 50%, shifting down to 5th gear, and then full throttle as you exit the corner. Into turn 8 you brake just as you turn in, going down to 3rd, and then change the direction right after you have passed the curbs. Going up to 4th, and then just full throttle down to turn 11. In turn 11 you want to brake after the 100 meter board, around 80 meters, going down to 2nd, and then short shift up to 3rd, and then it's just full throttle for a long time. Remember the DRS so you hit the top speed coming down to turn 12. You can stay to the right, but it doesn't gain you that much time, so don't risk the track limits. But coming down to turn 12 you want to brake before the 100 meter board, going down to 3rd, and then cut this curb. You can even cut it a bit more than I did. Then as you started turning in, that is where you want to brake. Down to 3rd, hitting the curb with the inside tires, and then coming around stay to the right, so that you have a perfect angle for turn 15, where you brake around here. Try to find something you can use as a reference point. But down to 2nd, short shifting to 3rd at the apex, and then the sooner you're on the throttle, the more time you'll gain. Then you want to thrust the setup around the next few corners, where you'll be going flat out in 6th gear, shifting up to 7th at the last corner. And then down to turn 19, which can be a bit tricky to get right, but just after the black box on the right you start turning in and braking. Going down to 5th gear, and then you can cut this curb a bit more, but then coming up to the final corner you want to brake around here, about 20 meters from the white line. Going down to 3rd, short shift to 4th to get the car more stable, and then the final DRS. And then that was a lap around Austin in the time 1:33.163. But we should be able to get a couple of tenths of the time. As you can see, we had a red sector 2 and only green 1 and 3. So time to gain in each sector. But let me show you my setup. So for the aerodynamics we use 37 on the front and 34 on the rear. For transmission I use 53 and 50. Then for geometry it's all the way to the right for camber and all the way to the left for toe. The suspension is 2-1. 2-1 for anti-roll bar, and then 7-4 for ride height. Brakes are 150, and then the front tires are 22.5 and the rears are 23.0. And then that was the setup, and then let's jump right into the race strategy. So the strategy for this race is gonna be medium hard, and you can put around 28.8 laps of fuel. So the race setup is gonna be a bit different. You wanna lower the wings to 33 on the front and 30 on the rear. Then change the suspension to 4 and 3, and then change the tire pressure to 22.5 on the front and 21.0 on the rear. Then you're gonna have a stable and fast race setup. But then get some heat in the tires and hit the purple. So we started P19, so it was gonna be a tough one with a lot of overtaking if we wanted to win this. But we had a decent launch where we just got ahead of Latifi, and then into turn 1 we took advantage of the AIs that stayed to the right. So we took the inside line, which you also should do in your league races, and then we were already up to P12. So a wonderful start, guys. And then after 5 laps we have around 24% tire wear, so each lap is around 5%. A normal lap time around this track on the mediums is around 1:38.7-ish. And at the end of lap 12 you have around 55% tire wear, so go into the pits. Coming into the pits, brake before the white line, then be careful not to hit the walls around the corner, and then brake around 30 meters out so you don't exceed the pit limits. Make sure to turn in when it shows 0.5 to hit the purple, getting the hards on, and then remember coming out of the pits the tires are gonna be cold, so brake before usual until they're up to temperature. Then after 3 laps we had around 10% tire wear, so we have around 3 to 4% each lap. On the hard tires you want a normal lap time around 1:38.4-ish, and then I just wanted to show you a lap around Cota with high fuel, where you can see the tire temperatures as well. But to be honest, you'll see a lap almost compared to the Hotlap. The braking points is almost equal to each other, so a very easy track when you have the Hotlap in your memory. But try and check out my lap and see how I drive it. So I will let you enjoy the ride, and then I'll see you at the end. Then coming to the end, our tires wasn't overheating during the lap, so it was perfect, and then we got the fastest lap in the time 1:37.52. And then at the end of last lap we were just ahead of Verstappen, only 0.4 seconds ahead going into the final corners. But our fuel load was 0.4 laps, so that was fine, but use what I said at the beginning of the race. Our tires were around 53%, so a very great strategy. Then don't almost lose the race because you crashed at the last corner, but if you win like this, you got my respect. And then that was it from me. If you want more of this, please like and subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next one.